Well, I tell everyone take everything I tell you, shake it up. What works for you, what resonates, keep, throw the rest away. Meet the next person, shake it up, see what falls out, and create your own. This comes down to, I guess, my religious past. There is no right or wrong way. There is not just one way to get somewhere. There's lots of different ways, and it has to do with your intention. What is
Hmm.
your intention with all of this? Is your intention to help people or is your intention to control people? Yeah, it comes down to peace, if you want whatever. But find your intention and walk your path. You can't really walk anybody else's.
Welcome to the Light the Day podcast, where we explore spiritually transformative experiences. I'm your host, Julie Clough, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. As always, remember to follow the show, like, subscribe, all the things, share. Help us get the word out there because many people need to hear these messages about spiritual development. And I am super thrilled to have with me today my friend Bertina. Hi, Bertina.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so excited to have you here today. We met because someone referred me to you as a Reiki instructor because I had mentioned I wanted to learn Reiki, and a mutual
Oh.
friend said, "Well, you got to meet Bertina."
Yeah. Reiki's kind of what really started me outing myself and doing things in the spiritual path. So yeah, I always tell people that meditation are a great foundation if you're wanting to really get in touch with your spirituality and
Yeah.
on this spiritual path. So yeah.
Well, introduce yourself,
Okay.
and just let us know a little bit about you because you're quite, what's the word for it? You have a very a wide breadth of knowledge and things that you do.
Well, I'm definitely a lifelong learner. I'll say that. I like to learn. In my 9 to 5, I work at a university. I teach classes such as history, sociology, criminology, religion, and do advising for students. In this world, I do Reiki meditation, I teach yoga, I do the divine feminine, a lot of priestess and women's circles. I work with tarot, oracle, tea leaf reading. That's one that most people like to know. I write books. I do a bunch of things. So, yeah, that's kind of where I am. Ready to retire from the university. I've got this year. I can't figure out if it's going to be December, next January, maybe a couple months after that. I'm going to try to max out all the things that I can. But I'll tell you what, this snowstorm we've had this week has really, really made it possible. You know how you can see things and you just know things are there, but it just really showed me the possibility of what I can be and do full time without having to have that anchor in that world. So yeah.
Yeah, in the university arena. Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me it's like a mini 2020 where everything kind of shut down and we
Yeah.
all adjusted to a different way of
Mhm.
being. And I despite the fact that there was a lot going on in the world during that time, it slowed us all down to kind of re-examine our life
Mhm.
and say, when things go back to normal, quote unquote normal, is this really what I want to be doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Well,
interesting.
yeah, COVID pretty much took me out of my safe space because I was at another university where I was department head in charge of everything. This is where I always kept saying, I'm going to be like Professor Binns from Harry Potter and I'm going to die right here and not even know it. And just that was going to be my life. But I started yoga teacher training the summer before and I really liked it. But it's kind of like people go, well, you can't really make any money doing that. And I had a really good salary there and everything. And some things happened and my contract wasn't renewed during COVID. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? So I spent an entire year building my online presence here. doing classes, doing readings and things like that, where before I'd done them at different events or in Lexington, not so much in Bowling Green, but in Lexington and Louisville, in Ohio some. But then I got connected with Cosmic Connections in Nashville. And just before, I swear, about 2 months before COVID hit, Catherine finally talked me into doing readings. She had been trying for like 4 or 5 years because I would go to Galactic and I would do readings, but that was it. But she scared me to death. Like she is such a serious businesswoman. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. Well, I decided to do it. And I swear, as soon as I got comfortable, COVID hit. So
Oh,
yeah, it was just, I was like, dang it. But then she really supported me in the online arena, going that direction. And it just kept on going. It has just
wow.
kept on going. I have added, oh, so much. Like it seems like every year I'm either taking a Rebecca Campbell class. Right now I'm in Kundalini yoga teacher training class. I've done somatic stuff. It's like I just like to learn constantly. So with all my masters and my other degrees and things like that, I just feel like that it's all coming here because in history, I focused my research on ancient civilizations and Victorian era time. That's a lot of the time of the goddesses, but then
Hmm.
also the time where um, spirituality came about during with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and other people like that. So it just kind of goes right into this world. And with sociology, I studied religion and then that, and it just keeps on going. So everything's so connected, and it just brought me here. And so
Yeah.
now I'm ready to run with that. So.
Well, we're gonna back up even a little further. I just love what you're talking about here, and it's interesting because I had just, um, I actually have Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's book on
Oh.
spiritualism, a
Ooh,
2 volume, the big
yeah.
chunky. I haven't read it. I open it and I'll read a few pages, but it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
pretty
heavy.
it's
Yeah.
pretty it's pretty comprehensive. But it's really fascinating. Um, so let's go back a little bit. Like what brought you, like, did you grow up in a religious home? Did you grow up in a spiritual home? Like what kind of started to develop this part of you?
Oh, wow. Definitely not spiritual. My parents still don't know what I do. It just saves an argument. I was born in Eastern Kentucky, so a lot of church, but my parents were very much like, don't listen to someone else tell you what you need to do. You need to read it. So if you're talking about this, you need to read it. You need to figure out what it means. So we really learned how to take like different translations and read stuff, look at different ideas. And that really kind of started my love for history between my grandfather and his stories. And then that I really like the history of the Old Testament and the New Testament, of course. But I was always told to do this. So I was from kindergarten to seventh grade, I was in Eastern Kentucky. And I was the first one to know Bible verses. I was the first one going, preacher, preacher, I don't think that's right. What about this? And he was like, okay, tell me why. And so he really like supported me in asking questions, but they were real clear about what you didn't do too. So, and that's all the things that I do now. And so we moved out and we moved away from there towards Lexington. And I went to church, but honestly, church was more of a social thing at that time,
Hmm.
as it is for a lot of people now. And I went to college, nothing, nothing at all. But I just remember going back to church after I had my child because he went to a private preschool there. And I really liked the preacher. And I remember telling him that I could see angels. He was like, my wife can too, but you don't tell anybody because that's probably bad and people don't understand. And I was like, that's the end of that for me.
Oh.
Yeah. So I just kind of cut with it and just started doing things on my own, meditating. I've always played with cards. Um, I remember seeing my grandmothers do hot toddies and tea leaf readings, but they wouldn't call it that. You were drinking the tea for medicinal purposes and you sat around and women supported each other and they talked about things and they'd make little jokes about, oh, it looks like da 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 da. Because my grandmother wasn't in church because she got kicked out because she married a guy who had been divorced. And so they
Oh,
kicked them out
wow.
of the church. Come a long way, huh?
Wow.
And because there was no divorce, anyone who was divorced in that church, you were not allowed to get remarried because you were forever married to that person.
Wow.
So grandma didn't like church very well. So she did, but she felt betrayed, I guess is what
Right.
you can say. So we would sit
Rejected. Yeah.
definitely and like made her feel horrible. But so she wouldn't get into that whole fortune telling, but she would just kind of go, "Oh, okay. So hot toddies make you feel good. Tell me what's going on." And it was real funny because she'd always go like, "Oh, you have a tummy ache. I bet you got into this can." No, and I loved the candy. It would sneak the candy whenever I would visit. And so it was just different things, but I would just remember different women being there and they would talk about their issues. And she was like, well, I kind of can see that, this and this, but that's how she would just say, I kind of can see. But at
Yeah.
that time too, when I was little, I could always see ghosts. I always could see spirits.
So
And
when you talk about seeing angels and ghosts and spirits, can you share maybe a couple instances where that
yeah,
occurred and like when you say that, like what that looks like or what that means to
okay.
you?
Yeah, it has changed from the time I was younger to now. Younger, we were in an older house or a new house. It was in Eastern Kentucky. And I would just always see this little girl. And she had a little nightgown like I did. And we would just play. And my mom's like, who are you talking to? And I would say, I'm talking to my friend, that kind of thing. But my dad, I swear, he's passed now. But he would deny being able to see her. But one time something happened to where he fell asleep and the house caught on fire. And I'd had the dream the night before that my little friend saved him. And he made the comment um, that he was like, I know you were at school. He told my mom, I know she's at school, but I swear she's the one that woke me up. And we were the same age, same size, and everything. And so he made the comment later to me when I was older. Well, yeah, sometimes I think I could have seen something. And I was like, she was always around, and she came with us when we moved. I mean, she came, and to me, she felt like a little friend when I was younger. When I was older, it felt more like kind of like a guardian angel.
Hmm.
And then my son just the other day because he would stay when he's at my mom's, he would stay in my old bedroom. And he was like, do you remember that little girl? Papa one time saw her and said, I saw her all the time. She just freaked me out though, because I was just so little. And I was like, yeah, he goes, but she always came around when something was getting ready to happen. I was like, well, she's
Hmm.
like a little angel. And so that just kind of validated for me. I mean, I don't know. I'm not the one that would go seek out exact things because I did get into the paranormal investigations when it was really big 30 years ago, but I wasn't trying to find things. I just wanted to help the souls and help the spirits because I always felt like she was there to help me. So it's time for me to help them. And she looked just like I was seeing someone. But now, like the angels that I always saw, I remember being in a car wreck and I looked in my rear view mirror and I saw just like a shimmer. And I felt I couldn't get to the brake. It was not working. And I felt the car just kind of get pulled back. And
Hmm.
so that's where I'm assuming I want to believe that was a guardian angel because it I was hurt pretty bad. I couldn't walk after that. It was a bad situation, but I didn't die. I mean, I could tell the pressure was coming from there. So that was a lot. Um, I see, I don't know. To me, it's just like if you came to my house and I was like, oh, hey, how are you doing? That's kind of because like I have them here. I also have a little goblin in Eastern Kentucky in the coal mines my daddy owned. There was always little goblins, and I have a little goblin that's come to stay with me here, and it comes to Cosmic sometimes. And
Hmm.
it looks like, have you seen Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Okay, it looks
Yeah.
kind
Your
of like
your
Dobby.
library
Yeah.
thing in the back. I feel like I'm in a
in
Harry
Harry Potter.
Potter set.
I know. I love learning, as I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little tapestry. I love it.
Yeah. It's
Um,
very cool.
Thank you. The goblins usually look kind of like Dobby, except for more brown, a little green. Um, but yeah, I can see them plain as day. I see.
When you say goblins, when people think goblins, they think scary. But when you talk about it,
I
you don't, I don't get the feeling that you think scary.
I don't think anything's scary.
Yeah,
Like
love
I
that.
can see anything, and I'm just like, you have to have good and bad so it exists, and I know how to deal with different things. So it's like I'm not going to pull anything in at all, but I'm also going to be like, yeah, hey, if you get a little rowdy, I'm scooting you out, kind of thing. But I just don't think about it. To me, they're more cute and fun and mischievous, kind of like fairies to the point of mischievous. I don't know. My sometimes the goblin. I have a kitty that we had to put down a few years ago, and he's buried in my backyard. And
Hmm.
there's a walnut tree. And when I bought this house here, there's a whole acre. And the first thing I saw when we pulled up, I looked down and I saw that big walnut tree, and I was like, huh. She's like, what? And I was like, there's a Civil War soldier. And she goes, yeah, Bowling Green was the capital of the South for a little while. And she goes, what do you mean there's a Civil War soldier? And I was like, okay. And so that soldier, he comes up to the house, he brings my kitty up, dumps him through the window, and the goblin and him plays. And my other cats play because sometimes I'll be like, one cat will be here and one will be here, and I'll see the other one. They're all three black cats, different sizes, but I'll see them walk through and they'll play with them.
Hmm.
And yeah, I guess I just don't think about things being scary. Because if you have fear, it gives them power. And
Yeah.
I'm real big about keeping my power. And if you give things fear, it's also going to bring other things in that, want to mess with you. So I guess I just don't get scared.
You have a very and I think I feel kind of that college teacher vibe from you, right?
Okay.
But also there's just this very matter of fact, very grounded
Mhm.
energy about your perspective on this. I'm kind of curious about your astrology. Where are your kind of your main three, you
Um,
know?
I'm a Scorpio. My birthday's 11/11.
Okay.
I
Wow.
don't I don't know the other two. I think Gemini
That would
and
make
Virgo.
sense. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that's what I'm sensing. Yeah. So that's like beautiful because you have the water, the air, and the earth. You
Yeah.
have this like beautiful like the air is all the interests and the going in the different different directions and the learning and the water is the spiritual aspect of things and then the Virgo is the earth energy, it's the grounded energy. So I just love that, like it's really it's very balanced.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful.
Mallory, who does the astrology at Cosmic, she said, and I am not an astrologer. I just love the fact that my birthday's 11/11.
I think it's so
Total
cool.
baby. I love being a Scorpio. I don't know how the heck that is water. I would think that that would be earth or fire, but who knows? Um, but she said that Sagittarius is all my houses, and that's fire. So that
And
would
that's
make.
fire. So then
Mhm.
you've got all four.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting.
But this is how I teach college too. How I'm talking to you now is how I teach college. Whether I teach criminology as well, and we get into some really rough things. And I think that's why a lot of things don't bother me because I worked in that field for so long. So I was in my masculine for years, working as a private investigator, private security, that kind of thing, criminologist. That anything I've seen in this world that was not good really it can't, the spiritual world, there's no way it can compare. I feel like I've seen
Yeah.
the worst. Now I can only see the best. And that's what I tell my students too. I'm like, you have to realize when you go into any of these fields you're wanting to do, they're wanting to do forensic psychology, therapists, victims, all that stuff, cop, FBI, you're going to have to find something that's going to ground you, something for you to believe in, and you're going to have a good therapist. We have to have therapists in those jobs because that
The
just kind of
process.
helps. It is. And so just the matter of fact way that I speak is how I talk. We're actually studying the Victorian era as far as I'm not going to get into do depth anything like that, but we're studying the Victorian era time where that because that's where criminology really started. And we look at how more of how victims feel instead of glamorizing or making crime or the bad guys looking really good. How did the people feel? And so I try to get them to be very empathetic and sympathetic and feel energy. I mean, they're like, I'll come into class and I'll have my pendulum going, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, y'all are too stressed out. We're going to change this energy. And they just kind of laugh. I'm like, okay. And I'll walk around and I'll change the energy, and they love it.
Yeah, and when you bring that empathy in, you're balancing the masculine with the feminine.
Yep.
Fascinating.
Yep. And the boys resist it a lot. And some of the girls do too, but it by the end of the class, the guys are like, do a lot of guys go to therapy? I'm like, you're required to at certain things. But yeah, most of them, once they get past that resistance, they're okay with staying and they're okay with knowing their feelings. I was like, you don't want to be that jerk police officer. You want to be that one that holds their hand out and helps someone up off the ground. And so that's what I try to teach them. So yeah, my approach is kind of both ways. It is, I don't give tests. There's no tests. It's real life projects that they have to do.
Mm.
So yeah, they have to do a podcast for their final.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So where was the bridge in all this? Because you're talking about early on seeing spirits and then getting that message that, oh yeah, you see angels, but don't go there. Like
Yeah.
when did you start to kind of open up more about this part of your experience?
Well, as we spoke before, I don't usually talk about myself a lot. I talk about things, but not like personal stuff like this. And so I think that I always did it quietly. I love studying Bibles and text and history. And so I did it through the lens of academic learning so that no one could judge me. I've had situations where I started to try to come out a lot and show my spirituality. I remember being at one library, doing a book signing, and a guy came over and said, "You're going to hell," and like flipped my table over. And I'm just like, see you there, dude. I'm sorry. That kind of thing. It's like, what do
Wow.
you do? And so nothing really bothered me. I just always, because I was a counselor for a few years too. So I see a lot of what I do, even though I can't be a counselor anymore because I let all that lapse. I still see what I do as helping people. So when I started dating my husband, he took me to a metaphysical fair in Lexington, a ghost hunter shop, and it was a metaphysical fair. And I was like, oh, I can talk about this stuff and nobody thinks I'm crazy. Okay. So I was there for probably 10 years. We drove from Bowling Green to Lexington, and I would go once a month and do readings, do energy work, just kind of what I did a lot. Okay. This is really how I bridged it. Angels, even though the preacher was like, you don't want to see angels, most of the time, if you tell people that you read angel cards or you're working with angels, they're okay with it. If I pull out tarot cards, people freak out. Or
Mhm.
at the time, or if I say I can see spirits or mediumship or stuff like that, they are like, oh, and they get scared. So I had to go through this tippy toeing as well. So my tippy toeing was all adoring virtues classes that I could possibly take to feel comfortable with angels. And so I did angel card readings at that time and stuff like that. But then I was just like, this is cool, but I know there's a lot more out there. So at the metaphysical store, I did angel readings in Lexington. And then as we started progressing, I I don't know. I went to Salem, Massachusetts many times. And while I was up there, a lady named Leanne, she's one of the witches of Salem. She was like, "You do know you have this gift." I was like, "Yeah, but I can't really show it." And I was like, "I'm really worried because, like, this is happening. My aunt is sick and everything." And she wanted me to come here because this was one of her favorite places too. And we both kind of knew my aunt wasn't going to make it a day or two after. And she goes, "Do you feel that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, this is what you touch into. This is what you tap into, your intuition, whatever." And so I went up there for training, but not officially, um, 4 or 5 times, like every other year for a while. And
Mm.
so I kind of came to grips with tarot cards aren't bad, it's just a card. And I don't know, I just have this thing of if I see it, I want to figure out how to use it. And I do no rules. In my class, there are no rules. Just do things that your intuition tells you that helps people. And that's the main rule. So reading tarot cards, I never really read the card. It's more of what do I feel? And so that's where I learned to start tapping into more of the spirit guides. And then I was like, oh, that's where the angels come from and the little girl, and just started making a lot of connection. I'm like, they're everywhere. I know they're everywhere. And I even have the haunted dolls and the things like that where you're talking about being scared. I'm not scared of them um, because I respect everyone. It's like when I worked in my divine masculine jobs, I respected everyone who most people wouldn't respect, and so they respected me. And that's kind of how I see anything that people get really scared about. If you respect them, you put boundaries up. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And everyone stays within there. So I guess I just kind of bridged it because my now husband gave me confidence to take myself there and then start learning. And then I learned from Doreen Virtue. I learned in Salem. There was a lady in New Orleans, and I just kind of I made my own. I don't know. That
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, kind of what's worked for me, and it sounds like maybe this is along the lines of what you're talking about, is just exploring and feeling into what feels aligned.
Yeah,
And then if it doesn't feel aligned, just letting it go,
yeah,
and not necessarily judging it or saying, "Oh, this is bad because it's not
right.
aligned with me." I think I kind of feel like that's what happens with things like tarot
Yeah,
is people they hear something about it and it doesn't feel aligned with them, but then they put harsh judgment on it instead of going, "Well, this just isn't aligned for me. It might be aligned for someone else."
yeah. I used to always love tarot. I started out with the angel cards, but then now I absolutely love oracle cards. But then I like mixing oracle and tarot, and it's like I just don't think about it. It's whatever's in front of me. I scry too, so I've been out in public and people are like, "Do you have cards with you? Can you do a reading?" And I usually don't carry cards just because, some people it makes them uncomfortable. But I'm like, give me some salt and pepper. And so I'll put salt and pepper in my hand and I'll scry and I could do readings that way. And you see the images. It's just like tea leaf reading, crystal ball, um, anything like that. So most people
Interesting.
don't know if you're spilling salt and sugar or salt and pepper, what you're doing. So you're not getting those harsh looks in the restaurants and stuff. So yeah.
Interesting. I just find it fascinating because everybody has a different approach, a different way of,
Mhm.
my approach is a little different than your approach, and then I learned from your approach, and it's
Mhm.
just fascinating. It's just so interesting.
Well, I tell everyone take everything I tell you, shake it up. What works for you, what resonates, keep, throw the rest away. Meet the next person, shake it up, see what falls out, and create your own. This comes down to, I guess, my religious past. There is no right or wrong way. There is not just one way to get somewhere. There's lots of different ways, and it has to do with your intention. What is
Hmm.
your intention with all of this? Is your intention to help people, or is your intention to control people? Is it your intention to get money out of people? Like, like just hurt people constantly. And yeah, it comes down to peace, if you want whatever. But find your intention and walk your path. You can't really walk anybody else's. I don't do a lot with astrology. I just know my stuff, and it's just because it's so science and math, my brain doesn't work like that. Just like runes. Runes, nope. Even though I have a lot of Norse and that area in me, but genetically cannot do runes at all because it has to do with numbers. And I'm very number dyslexic in my world here. And so trying to do things with astrology just freaks me out. So I just go to somebody and let them use their gift to help me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Yeah, because definitely, and that's what I found too. It's like we can't all know everything about
No,
everything, and so
no.
we go with what feels resonant. And
Mhm.
I love astrology, human design. That's kind of my. I was a
Yeah.
math brain. I at one point I wanted to be. I thought about majoring in engineering, electrical engineering. I didn't
See?
do it. I didn't do it, but I thought about it. Um, but yeah, so it would make sense that, right? Like
Yeah.
astrology and human design makes sense to me because it's orderly in that way, in some ways. But you talked about boundaries, so I want to kind of go back to that. What
Okay.
does that look like for you when you talk about like spiritual boundaries or energetic boundaries?
I treat spirits just like I do you. Okay, Julie. I'm going to bed at 8. Don't give me a call after 8 o'clock. Don't come spook me after 8 o'clock. I will give you time between this time and this time. And that's exactly what I do with them. When I first started seeing them at night a lot, I would be woke up all the time and I got no sleep and I was agitated and just aggravated. And I was just like, I sat up one night, I was like, okay, guys, you've got to let me get some sleep. What about if I get up an hour early and we'll talk then? And they just poof. And 6 o'clock in the morning, they came right back. And I was like, okay, I will honor what I told you. We may have to move this up a little bit because I didn't think you're going to listen to me, but I'm going to honor that. And that's what I do. And I also do not try, first of all, working with, I'm not going to scream at someone. I'm not going to scream at spirits. I'm not going to, when I am going out, just looking. Sometimes like I'll be out and I'll feel spirits and I don't, and I'll say, are you okay? Do you need anything? Just like I would anyone else. And if they're like, I'm scared and I'm like, are you scared of being here? Are you confused? Do you want to go to the light? What do you want to do? And I'll sit and listen. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to make you do anything because you have your own will. But you can walk with me. And as we're walking, I can tell you this. I always have portals. In Cosmic, the bigger room with the concrete that looks different, I have a portal there. And I'm like, there, if you feel it, if you see it, go that way. But I'm never going to go banish you and go, because
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to, you wouldn't want me to do that to you. So those are boundaries. Boundaries also, sometimes there are messages that I get when I'm doing readings that they're like, don't tell them that they're not ready.
Mm.
And so I don't. And I definitely don't go up to someone in the middle of the road, in the middle of the street and go, hey, so and so, I have a message for you. That's the great way to traumatize somebody and get them to absolutely hate what we do. Those are boundaries. I don't push what, like say, I may ask you, would you want, you're not feeling well, or would you want me to send Reiki for you for tomorrow's event? And someone would say no. I'm like, okay. And I'm not going to. If they say yes, thank you. And I always ask permission. Even when I'm doing readings, they came in to do a tea leaf reading, and I'll look up and I'm like, oh, I've done this before. I'm like, oh, there's someone here, and I don't like doing mediumship for people a lot of times, especially new people, because it can really throw them off. So I always go, hey, what do you think about this? And they'll start talking about someone. I was like, oh, have they passed on recently? And they're like, yeah. And I'll be like, I bet they felt. They're like, yeah, they always did. And so I don't go, well, your grandmother's behind you saying this. I'll just go, I just have this feeling that she really cared about you. So because it's boundaries of clients too, because they didn't come in asking about that, but if they bring up the topic and they're okay with it, but I can tell really quickly how people are going to connect with readings, because some people that are coming in for 15-minute readings, they're tourists. This is fun. It's Nashville. Let's go have a bridal party, and they are not ready for things. And you can tell it. You can tell if you get to know too much and you see too much, they will shut down really quick. So you honor those boundaries. You don't try to shock people. You don't make people do anything, and so you don't do spirits the same way. You just treat them the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had instances where you were given a message and you knew that it was going to be challenging for the client, but also your guide's spirit was saying they need this message? Have
Mhm.
you had
Oh yeah.
situations like that?
Yeah. I'm always careful. I never hide the information. And I do give them the messages, because I'll be like, oh, and I'll direct them to the cards, because we don't need the cards. The cards are more for them to look at. And I'll just start with conversations. And have you ever thought about, have you ever thought maybe your mother, your grandmother, your brother, your dad, left you something in the house? And then they'll start talking, and I'm like, are you okay if I'm connecting with them and ask them? And
Hmm.
I will only usually do that if I'm already connected. I won't pull people in because they didn't come in for that. And I've had people, I'm like, okay, I feel like that someone's here and they're wanting to tell you this. Is it okay? And I don't have to be that, oh, your grandmother who's in a blue, because a lot of things are showy. Um, I'll just say a loved one has said that, and for one person, there's a box and there was some information that they really needed there. And they found it, and it's kind of went like that. And they're like, oh, I wonder if it's so and so. And I'm like, well, it's on this side or this side, it's male or female. And I never try to act like I know for sure. I'm like, this is the feeling I get. Is it okay if we continue with this? And
Hmm.
they'll say yes or no. And some of them are like, no, I don't want you to do. Okay, we'll shut it off. I am okay with that. And
Yeah.
so I respect all of those boundaries. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That's excellent. Yeah, the other thing I wanted, one of the classes that I took from you, because I did take a couple of classes. Well, let's go to Reiki because that was the first time I met you.
Okay.
Um, that was really fascinating to me because I was already trained in energy work and but I had not done in person. I
Hmm.
hadn't done a lot of in-person work, mostly because it was a lot of it was post 2020. So
Yeah.
everybody was online and my clients were halfway around the world, so I
Yeah.
couldn't exactly say, "Hey, come fly to Nashville and let's do this." So it was really fascinating to be in the room and practicing that. And I remember in your class the first time we were practicing with each other, and the first time I put my hands like physically over the top of someone, and I was probably 2 feet from their body, and just I felt electricity.
Hmm.
That was so surprising to me. So
Yeah.
for those that aren't familiar with Reiki, can you share a little bit about Reiki, what it is, what and how you use it?
Yeah, definitely. The traditional Usui Reiki is where it's universal life force. It is something that we're all born with. It's just energy connecting us to whatever you believe in, the higher self, God, whatever. And it is an energy that we pull through ourselves. It's not from us. Some healing comes from you, and that's okay. I mean, people have different ways of doing it. Reiki comes through us from the higher good, the higher plane, the higher spirit. And it is energy transference. So I am feeling energy and I'm sending energy. So what you were probably doing, you were above because you're not supposed to really touch in Reiki. That's a whole legal thing. And you started sending energy to an area, and then that person's energy started coming up to you. And what that is I always say Reiki is a Japanese technique of allowing the body to release stress, to relax, and allow the body to do what it needs to do. So I never say we're healing someone. I say that we are helping move their energy through their body so that their body can do what is needed for them.
Hmm.
Um, and so it is just an extension of like so many. You can feel the heartbreak sometimes, and you can feel the energy over the heart. And just getting someone to lie there, to breathe in, to visualize, because the mind is such a powerful, powerful healer. Um, Visualize what they need, maybe do a meditation with them, let them listen to music. It's just different aspects. I never do a class or a session the same. I always do it based upon who's
Same.
there.
It's
Yeah.
every time I think I'm going to, I'm like, oh, this, I really liked the way this worked. And so the next session comes, I'm like, oh, we're off in a totally different
Yep.
direction.
Exactly. Because I have a session after this, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And my husband's like, it doesn't matter. If you write it down, you're going to do whatever feels like at the time.
Exactly. I've done that before too.
Yeah.
Or I've
But
had a session coming up with somebody, and I've had a couple of like my what I would call kind of my spiritual heroes that have booked sessions with me, and then I'm feeling a little like, oh,
mhm,
out of my league. So
yeah,
I'll write down, I'll just have like this list, like this is what we're gonna start with, this is where we're
yeah,
gonna go. And as soon as they get on the call, we go a totally different
yeah,
direction. It's just and it's just trusting. It's just
yeah.
trusting the energy.
It really is. And that's the thing is for someone to be able to relax, for you to help them know what needs to be unblocked just to get the energy flowing. Your heart is broken. Maybe you're not eating the best in the world and you're having physical things. And just allowing them to have that aha moment.
Mm.
It's all them. We're just here facilitating and helping them relax and helping them listen to what they need. And so many times, and clients afterwards are like, what do you know? What did you feel? What did you do? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk to you about that, but I want to know how you're feeling. Do you feel like you've made progress? Are you going this direction? And empowering the clients is the biggest thing for me. I feel like that is the most important thing because it's not me. I'm just a human and I'm not a doctor. So what I'm doing is just helping the energy go through you. And I do angel Reiki. So I pull in angels and have Raphael and Michael and Uriel and Gabrielle there and have them do their thing. And I just step back and just let them really just heal and relax. And that's it. Reiki to me is a Japanese technique of releasing energy. But this is the thing. Since I've seen you, I've always liked Reiki, but I always feel like it's extremely masculine. Um, it is very much of the energy sometimes is so focused on rules. You have to have your hands this way. And I don't teach that. I'm like, follow your intuition, do what you
Mhm.
need to do, pull some cards, balance the chakras, things like that. And I have done a lot of work on womb healing and divine feminine healing to where I focus a lot more of my Reiki on divine feminine healing when I'm teaching it, even. I've kind
Interesting.
of revamped my class. We do a lot of somatic work. I teach somatic yoga, so I incorporate um the chakras. I do Kundalini yoga, so I incorporate that. Incorporate somatic. So I don't really call it Usui Reiki. I call it, I've kind of created my own type of thing. And that's the cool thing, is that this is a good foundation, and then you incorporate your own. And in the last class, we were dancing. We were ribbon dancing,
Hmm.
and how to get, because so many times as a female, we sit there and we're told to be quiet, don't be seen, hold this in, hold your emotions, you cry too much, and we hold everything in, and that goes in our hips
Hmm.
and we become very quiet and everything. So being able to do what we did at the beginning of time, which is dance and heal by dancing in our voice and bringing energy with our body instead of just our hands. When we're dancing, the energy is coming up from our dantian, between our root and our sacral chakra, where the kundalini or shakti lives. And it's not sexual. That's the thing. A lot of people go into the tantric aspect. This is just energy of the female, the healing energy. And as you're moving and as you're dancing, that energy begins to flow. And whether you're the client or you're the Reiki practitioner or whatever, that energy is in that room and everyone's getting the benefits from it. And it's
Wow.
just happiness. So, yeah, we had 8 women dancing in the last one. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. So, yeah.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. Yeah, I've had a couple of ahas just in some of the things that you just were sharing, especially about how we hold things in our hips. Because
Mhm.
I have found even in the last few years, I've become more aware that my body, I even as a child, I can't remember a time when I wasn't kind of my muscles were just tight and just holding it all together. But
Yep.
even in the last few years, I've noticed like when I walk, I'm like holding my hips very still
Yep.
and realizing that I just really need to loosen up because it's messing with my gait. I mean, it just
Yep.
physically, like it's
Yeah.
messing with my gait. It's causing more tension. It's causing more tightness
Hmm.
in everything. And I'm not
Yeah.
getting any younger.
And back pain and hip pain and yeah, yeah, everything.
So interesting. Another thing that you taught, and I'm not going to remember the right words, but this kind of this like the star seed, the angel, like
Hmm.
kind of the
Spirit.
cosmic ancestry, I
Yeah.
guess you could
Yeah.
call it. Can you
Hmm.
share a little bit about that? Because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are probably pretty unfamiliar with that.
Yeah. Actually, that's one of the classes I took from Doreen Virtue. She called it angelic realms because she focused on angels. I call it spiritual realms. And there's a couple of different beliefs. So I always present different beliefs to everyone because we all have different ideas. One is that somewhere throughout your ancestors, maybe an angel, a fairy, a dragon, some type of elemental, a wise person like Merlin gifted a family member a gift. That could be wisdom, that could be healing, that can be love, that can be whatever. And it's in your DNA and goes through. Other people believe that maybe grandpa and a fairy got a little friendly and now they're in your family line. And then other ones are that you've chosen that you are a starseed, which is someone from another planet or another aspect, or sometimes you are a planet, but it's a spiritual being, or maybe you are a fairy or an angel and you chose to come down and you chose to come back in this body. And we all have missions. Now, everyone isn't a star seed or a wise one or an angel. And the angels are not like, oh, you die and go to heaven, you become an angel. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like actual either angelic gifts or energy, or you were an angel and you came back here. It's not, it's the opposite of that. And the idea is that we're all here for a purpose. Like I am a mystic angel star, which means I am one third wise one, one third angel, but my angel is more of a bad angel. Not bad, bad, but like, mischievous. And then also a little bit of star. So what that tells me is
So
that I
what
love
did you
to
call that again?
mystic angel star.
Mystic angel star. Okay.
Yeah. And the mystic is the wise one. I love to learn, I love to teach. I'm not so much about nature, being out in nature. So it frustrates me when people don't know things. So it tells the good and the bad. It's a kind of like a personality test.
Mm,
The angel that I was with, that the type that I'm with was kind of like a badass. When I was younger, rode motorcycles, race cars, I mean, that kind of thing. And I did. That's the thing. And so it's kind of that devilish, angelic risk taking is what it is. And then the star seed is,
adventurer.
yeah, adventure, definitely. And the star seed is very much the technology. I love technology. Like I build websites, I work on things. I'm not good with coding. I figure out things on my own. And I'm the first one when something new comes out at the college. Okay, I'm going to try this. We're going to try this. So putting that all together, I am a person who, and star seeds tend not to be very maternal. They're not very nurturing. And even though I have a child, I love my child, I'm not that mother type. And it helped me not feel so guilty about it because I always loved him. I did everything and we love each other. But I was just never that one that you go, oh, she's a mommy. You can tell she's a mommy. I'm like, look, here's a book. Let's read this together. Oh, I mean, I treated him just like, not like I never did baby talk. I never did any of that. And I was like, if you want to do something, we'll do it, but you have to do, that kind of thing. And the angel, I always feel like is something that's always been in my past. So whenever I've done past life regressions, anytime I look at anything, I've always been a warrior or a priestess in my past life, which means I've usually died saving somebody and
Mm,
helping somebody. And I feel like that's the angel aspect of that because um, I've been in bad situations when I taught public school, you know what I'm talking about. And I have put myself in front because I'm that way now. I would do it in a second without even thinking, like,
yeah.
and it's instinctual for me. Um, and I feel like that's why some of the jobs I had were like that. So, but I feel like this lifetime I've, I've done or learned whatever I needed to where I think I'm done with that aspect because I always saw being intelligent as power, being like
Mhm,
that as power, but being the divine feminine as weak. Now I've figured out is the exact opposite. Being the
mhm,
divine feminine, being a healer, being someone who helps people and protect and goes in that way is the strength. Does that make sense?
mhm,
And um yeah, so I feel like that's my angel. And then the mystic just goes back to always liking to learn and teach. I mean, very simple. So why you would want to know about your spiritual realm, there's two different reasons. One, it's a certification class to be a reader of it. And it's one of those things where we sit down with each other, we ask questions, we go through, and then we start planning. Are you in your right career? Are you in alignment with your relationship? What things are stuck within you? Maybe the angel that I am, we always have a round face and we're kind of chubby. And that's okay. But I was smaller when I was younger, but I always had that issue of being, I was almost perfect, like, um, but I always had that issue because I wasn't like a little girl, or, like most girls that when I was little. And just being able to see my body image at that time and then change until now and overcome that and be like, look, I'm a female. This is how we're all made in different ways. I got to, love myself. So those things help being stuck. I don't know. It's just another form of helping you go through barriers and learn who you are. And I call it spiritual realms. Um, and absolutely love it. You might be able to find a book by Doreen Virtue. It's called Angelic Realms, and it
Mm.
has a lot of the same thing, but it's not exactly. I've kind of taken a lot of that from my certification and added my experience and go through like that. So
Yeah.
always make it yours.
So what other areas are you teaching or exploring? Because I just look at you as a spiritual explorer.
Yes. Um, absolutely. I know this is really weird, but for me, Reiki, yoga, and meditation are the foundations. And I always say I don't do butt crunching yoga. You can tell I'm not skinny. And there's nothing wrong with, like, I have a Pilates set right here beside me. That's fine for working out. But yoga to me is yoking, the mind, the body, and the spirit coming together. And yoga means yoke. So it's all together. And it's a part where, to me, going inside, being able to see who I am, and then coming out and reacting or not reacting to the world is a way. I love, I studied Hatha yoga, traditional yoga, 2019. Restorative is my favorite because cortisol levels help you gain weight, and then releasing those help. I just finished my somatic yoga certification, and that is all about healing. It is therapy. My 300 hour was therapeutic yoga. I'm starting Kundalini yoga training. I like it. This is not like Yogi Bhajan. Guru Singh was under Yogi Bhajan, and there's a lot of controversy with Kundalini through that. He says in his classes, sounds just like me though. He'll say, "Okay, I'm going to give you the information. I'm not going to tell you what to think or what to do. You're going to take it. You're going to make it your own. You're going to fit it to your body." I actually got a scholarship for this class because you had to write why you wanted to take it. And
Mm.
I was pretty honest. I was like, look, I am not the traditional skinny girl that can do every asana that there is. I like becoming, loving myself. This is my happy place. This is where I am. And I help other people who are like me. And so I want to learn Kundalini because it is supposed to be the ultimate divine feminine energy. And I want to take all the good from all the negative and make something of my own. And they gave me a partial scholarship for that because they like, this is exactly what we want, because um yoga is female, and women were not allowed to even practice it until the 1960s. And so, I mean, that it's all been, he said, to give the power back to the female. He's 80 years old. It is so funny to watch him do the things he does. But I feel like all of that, that's what I'm learning. I am teaching somatic yoga on Tuesdays. I'm doing priestess classes. Absolutely. It's actually a 52-week goddess class, which pulls in my ancient history degree. And it's like a level 2 of being a priestess because I went through training to be a water and a rose priestess. Water healing, rose is like Mary, Mother Mary, and Mary Magdalene, service to others, because I feel like that's so important. Um, so I've started that on my website slowly. I'm hoping to get level 3 rose and water and forest up by the end of the year. I don't know. If we keep having snow days, I may actually hit that goal. Um, And so I'm also teaching, I'll be doing some priestess classes at Cosmic. Actually, Valentine's Day, there's a really cool sound healing thing that's going on. And I get to do a mixture of somatic yoga, Kundalini, chanting, spiritual dancing, ribbon dancing. We're going to include that, and some meditation. So to me is, what am I learning? Do what you want to do, move your body, dance, have fun. I mean, that's what I'm learning. That's what I'm teaching, is trust yourself. Don't let other people get in your head. I was very confident until teenage years. Some things happen. You know how that is. And I lost all my confidence, and I let people run over me. And then I became angry and I fought back, which did not do what I needed it to do. I mean, it did at the time, but that wasn't. But this path is what help me find my peace,
Mm.
my power, love me. And I think my age too. I mean, I'm 54. I was like, at this point, I don't care what people think. I mean, I do, but I don't, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I think that that's what I'm trying to teach people is to figure out who they truly are and love themselves and move into a direction to where they find their voice and they find their power to help themselves and help other people. I don't know. That's kind of where I am, I
I
guess.
love that.
That makes sense.
Wow, you're just, yeah, you're like an encyclopedia of information with so many experiences. So it has, you had mentioned that it was just before 2020 when you were encouraged to start, teaching and doing some of this live work.
Yeah.
Um, and now, like, what does it look like for you as far as like what you're doing right now? Like how long have you been doing that?
Okay. Um, let's see. Meditation and Reiki starting 2010. 2019 was the classes in Nashville and yoga. Now, um, I have really pulled in 2020, I tried to start the goddess and priestess route, and something just kept stopping me. It was one thing or another or another. And so I just decided just to focus on more of the divination, the Reiki, just continuing working with my intuition. I feel like it's been about 3 years on this path of doing priestess work, circle work, trusting other females. I think that right there was my lesson in all of that because I was raised, 70s and 80s, and your competition was other women, not the men that stood in your way in business and corporate. And now it's just like, no, there's no competition. We support each other, we help each other. That's the best thing. And I think that that is what I've learned over the last few years. And what it looks like right now is peaceful. I'm trying to get out of higher ed. I love the kids. I don't like all the control and all that stuff. Um, and what it looks like now is I'm hoping, no, it is going to happen. I am going to have a location of my own, whether it's within Cosmic or somewhere like that, of my own priestess temple, of my own priestess university, of healing and spiritual connection and dance and voice and women supporting women and empowering people. And because it's when I first started, a lot of the things were readings and it was like, desperation or entertainment or that kind of, oh, let's go do get a reading and let's go play and stuff. And now my clients are very serious about their path. I've evolved, so I've had to learn as they learn, and so we've evolved into this, let's take this path on this direction and let's not be like how we were when we were younger, of insecurities and not listening to each other and not being great with each other, to now is we love each other, we meet each other where we are. I actually say I love you to people other than my husband or my child. That's just really weird because I would have never ever ever. And yeah, it's, I don't know, where am I going? I'm hoping that this will be a full-time, no, I know it's going to be a full-time job within the next year.
Well, from my viewpoint, it's already a full-time job. I have no idea when you possibly teach college. I get messages from you all the time, and I see that you're at the store at Cosmic Connections here in Nashville often, and
Yeah,
it's not like you live right around the corner, and so it's amazing to watch everything that you're doing. You're doing so much.
I have to structure. I get up in the morning, check my emails for this business, and I do all my things, my spiritual practice. Then I go to work, and then at lunch I call my mother every day at 11:30, and then the rest of my lunch I'll answer emails. I come home, answer emails. Sam and I clean the house real quick or whatever we need to do. I sit down, teach a class. 8 o'clock, I spend time with him, we go to bed. And then every other weekend, it's like First weekend is usually with my mom because I have to drive another 3 hours to her. Second and fourth weekend is at Cosmic. Third one, I'm doing something, retreats or spending time with him. Everything is like, and
Wow.
it's so masculine. It's so rigid. And I've loved this week because technically we've been off work. Because, see, my advising is a full-time job. My teaching is a part-time job. And then this is a 30-hour a week at least, by the time I get done with the weekends and stuff sometimes. So it's like I have to be rigid. So this week we were out, so I didn't have to do schoolwork. I didn't have to do advising. I did hop on see if kids needed something because I can't ignore my kids. But I got to spend this whole week doing this, and I don't know. It was fun. It was perfect.
Yeah.
I just love it. Yeah. Creating classes. I've always created unusual classes in college. Sociology. I did sociology of Harry Potter, sociology of comic books, sociology of all kinds of different things, religion,
Interesting.
yeah, pop culture, things like that. And I created these classes and put them through curriculum and taught them. And now I'm doing that for myself. And I get to decide what I want to teach and what I don't want to and how I want to teach it.
Yeah.
But classes are never the same. I have some people who have taken Cindy's one of them. She has taken every single class I've taught since 2019. And she's like, you never teach it the same. And I learn something new every single time because as I learn it, I pass it on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I want to ask you a couple questions I ask all my guests. And the
Okay.
first one is, what are some of the spiritual practices that you use on, daily, weekly, whatever
Okay.
basis that help you stay connected?
Um, I stop. You're talking about me being busy. I make sure I stop, whether it is sitting and technically meditating or just sitting and looking and just quiet. Um, I yoga. That's really the biggest thing is whether no matter what it is listening to my body because I hated my body for so long. And I mean, I was like homecoming queen nominee. I was not chunky, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
I had no confidence when I should have. And now it's like, and I hated my body and I love myself now. I'm okay with it. Um, what else do I do? I'm a water priestess. So in the morning and at night, I take bubble baths and I meditate in the bathtub. I do a healing ritual and anointing stuff. Um, I like to celebrate the wheel of the year. So like Sunday, I'm doing a class on Imbolc. I don't know. I I love to dance. I
Yeah.
always have. Like that's been my thing. I swore when I was little I was a pom-pom girl, and I swore I was going to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. That was what I was going to be. And I lost it because I was told my boobs were too big, I was too chunky. And then I taught dance team when I taught high school, and I made sure every girl got a chance to be on there. And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. But yeah, because I was in my 20s and I still hadn't figured things out, but I just knew I wanted everyone to be that. So I like to dance.
Yeah.
Not that I'm great at it or anything, and it's not performative, it's healing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I do. That's a lot.
And I love that because that's an important point that you're making. Like we can love to sing, we can love to dance, we can love to play an instrument. I think we've kind of created this standard around those things that says if you're not a pop star, you can't do those things.
Yeah,
But it's super healing and super creative and really, really just joy filled. And when we can just experience, it's experiential, it's
yeah.
important. So, how can people get a hold of you? How can they connect with you?
Okay. The best way is to go to my website. It is bertena.org. It's Bertena. It's not an I, it's an E. .org, and everything's on there. My books, my podcasts, my classes, my community stuff, everything that I do is there. Social media, it's Bertina 11, my birthday 11/11. Bertina was taken. It was probably me years ago when I was younger because there's not very many of us. But yeah, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, all the things there. And you can come see me at Cosmic Connections. You can just email me, bertina@bertina.org. Um, I'm around. You can find me, trust me. I've been blessed with a unique name, and that's really helped me. It's my godmother's name. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Wonderful. Any last minute advice or wisdom that you'd like to pass on to us before we go?
Trust yourself, trust your intuition. Begin to really, I always get this question about romance or love or things like that. I always tell people date yourself, whether you're dating somebody, you're married or not. Take yourself out on a date, enjoy what you enjoy, and then that helps you love who you are and set those standards to where nobody will be able not to love you how you're supposed to be. So have fun. That's it.
That's that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. This was fun. So,
Yeah, it's been a delight.
yeah, thank you.